Hello, and welcome to Chrystal's Pirate Podcast with her really good friends. Brett is unable to join us. I have ousted him as leader of South Side Sox. I'm going to leave that in and not edit it out. We are here today to grieve. This is like a White Sox group therapy. But yeah, I have my wonderful friends at South Side Sox. I have Jordan. I have Melissa. We've got Brian, Dante, Allie, and the one and only Tommy Barbee. I'm trying to channel my inner Brett. So yeah, we are here to discuss what happened earlier today. By the time this goes up, it'll be yesterday. If we want to talk about our new pitcher, that's fine, but I don't really care enough about him. We're mainly just here to focus on the GOAT, the one and only José Abreu. I won't take up all of this time. I'm going to give my friends a chance to memorialize him, even though he's not dead. He's just dead to us now. So take it from there.
The shit sucks.
It's succinct.
Genuinely, I think
go ahead.
I said this earlier today. Like, I am very much like still young in my like fandom. Like, I've always been a fan of the White Sox, but like I've just, recently become emotionally invested in this team. So the fact that like this is the first player I've really had to like watch walk away and like actually feel that, like I did not expect to like be this heartbroken over a player, but I am. And yeah, it just really freaking sucks.
And I'm on the other side of it, where I've seen so many Sox players leave on bad and weird terms that I'm kind of numb to it, to be a little bit honest. Like, I'm not as angry or emotional as I thought I would be, so much as it's just like, I don't know how the Sox can actually think that they're going to be an improved team in the short term or long term with this outcome. And I just, it sucks from the standpoint that here is another franchise player that is easily one of the best players of this generation, one of the best players in franchise history, and pretty much just kind of disappeared. And the next time fans see him, he's going to be in another uniform, and it's going to be weird and awkward and all that. And it's not necessary.
And that's our opening day game.
Yeah,
So that's a bitter pill to swallow.
absolutely.
On national television, regardless, on ESPN, or is it that game, or is one of the games in that series is on ESPN?
It probably will be now. I mean,
I
even
think
if it wasn't.
Yeah, one of them was already on ESPN. It might have been the last game, but I think the first game, it might have been the first game, but whatever. I agree, it sucks. And it's like, he's like the first like franchise legend. Let's call him that, because he is the
Absolutely.
first franchise legend that I've lived to see the whole career of, or been alive to see the whole career of. Because it's like, yeah, I was, alive when Burley and Konerko started, but it was like I was a baby. I can't remember that, but it's like I have seen José Abreu at this point now. I guess I've seen José Abreu's entire White Sox career, and it sucks. It's like what makes it worse is that like he was the Paul Konerko heir apparent, and then had, they kept Konerko on for like 2-3 years past when he should have been playing, and they couldn't give José Abreu another 2-3 years. Yes, he deserves to go to a team that can win. I would prefer it wasn't Houston, because that hurts a lot more. I've said this a couple of times. And this might be sacrilegious, but I would have rather he went to the Cubs than went to Houston. But it's
Same.
It's awful. It's like he could have gone to the Yankees, and I would have been fine with it, to be honest. Anywhere but Houston. Because now I have to actively, hope for Houston to win a championship, because I want Abreu to win one, and we're not gonna fucking win one anytime soon. So it's sad. I hate it. I hate it here. I hate this team.
Yeah, this team does not care about winning at all. Like they are the ownership of this team, and I want to make sure this is clear for everyone in terms of the people that are upset at José Abreu. There's no reason to be upset with José Abreu. He did the thing that's best for him and his family, and most importantly, right now, his chances of getting a ring and his wallet. He got 3 years, 60 mil. He deserves it all. Because in baseball's the one sport where a lot of time you get paid off of your past achievements, what you've done in the past, what you used to do. And that's because of the whole stupid 6-year clause, like 6 years before you're a free agent, all that stuff. We could go all day on that. But I am very sad for White Sox fans. I'm sad for the state of this team because if the White Sox are in second place next year, I'll be shocked. Then I don't think they're gonna do the things to replace a bat like José Abreu. And we have people arguing, well, Eloy's gonna be the DH, so we'll be fine. Or, well, if we stay healthy, we'll be fine. Andrew Vaughn's gonna be the guy. But the thing is, Eloy has to be healthy. Eloy is about as healthy as me, and he has a lot more resources at his disposal to stay healthy. And Andrew Vaughn has been playing left field for the last 2 seasons and right field for the last 2 seasons. So we'll have to see how he can play at first base, despite the fact that he's spent almost no time there compared to what your typical first baseman would have done by now.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I'm older than Tommy. I think I might be the oldest person here. And so, like Tommy, I've seen a lot of people come and go, gotten kind of used to, kind of numb to the transitory nature of sports and the mercenary venality of the ownership over the years. And I really haven't idolized anyone since I was young, since I was a kid, since they were all older than me. But José is someone who changed that. Like when he came to this team, I felt like a kid again. I felt like someone looking up to someone, 20 years my old, elder as I was sitting in the backyard playing ball or something like that. And so seeing him go is just different than anyone else who's left. Konerko, Burley, any of those guys that I, genuinely loved as players, but José was just different. He was a different kind of ball player. And yeah, the club is qualitatively worse. And I saw someone say today, if Houston made this move, it's the smart move. Like, we're a dumb team. Houston's a smart team. We didn't put one over on the Astros. And they got better and we got worse and we got less enjoyable. And just probably the last ball player that I think I'll really feel that passion about, just because now I'm mostly dead inside, too old for that. But yeah, he was that guy. He was that guy that you loved to watch play and that made you happy about baseball. And it just sucks that it ends with such a whimper.
Well, God bless you, Brian, because I'm pretty sure I'm older than you. So, and I'm kind of between Tommy and Allie. Like I've been around long enough to have been through Harold and Fisk and, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't know. This one kind of hits differently, I think, because of the kind of person José was on the field. Like he just, the way it kind of reminds me of Fisk in the way, like he always played hard, like no matter what it was, he was injured, he got concussed, whatever it was, he put it all out there. And I think that kind of player, we've had some great ones, but in my fandom anyway, in terms of that, like he's been it for me in terms of just laying it all out there. And so knowing that those kind of players come along once in like a generation and that we let him walk. And if we knew he was going to walk, like why not trade him at the deadline? It's just so frustrating. It's just like mistake after mistake after mistake that this team just stumbles over their own feet constantly. I think made this one a little bit harder to swallow for me.
That's the part that kills me, is that I mentioned this earlier, like the Sox like to pretend that they're super loyal and all that. They're not. But, you look at the Rodon situation, you look at Abreu, you can go back through the history. The White Sox just let these guys go for free. And I know that José must have assumed that there was going to be an offer coming his way eventually. But to me, the Sox telegraphed very early on that they had no intention of bringing him back this year. I think there are two things that needed to happen that didn't happen that kind of put the White Sox in an awkward spot. Number one, I think they were really hoping for Andrew Vaughn to prove that he was going to be the next guy, kind of like what Paul Konerko did with Frank Thomas, where it was just like, all right, Frank's hurt. Konerko has to take over for real 2005, win the World Series. You have like your next first baseman. I think that's what they wanted to have happen. It didn't happen. And now it's like, well, you have to hope that Andrew Vaughn is really not just better than him as a player last year, but appreciably better to be a replacement for José Abreu. And the second thing is that it's like, okay, if you are going to get rid of him, just trade him at the trade deadline, get something out of it, and make it a big farewell, even if he doesn't want it to be, to say, hey, this situation isn't working out. You know, Andrew Vaughn's going to be the next guy coming on. Let's handle it the right way, above board. But now they just didn't do either of those things. And I don't know why the Sox don't do even just like, it's not the right thing. It's just a smart thing to do. Like, if you're not going to be committed enough to keep these guys on board as veterans, then at least do what other smart teams do that don't want veterans and trade them for valuable assets that can turn into guys that make your roster better. They just let them walk.
Yeah, and I think that's like the biggest struggle too, Tommy, you bring up is like Jose was very like, I love Jose, and he wanted to be on the field every day. And I think like that put the White Sox in a rock and a hard place. Like you said, like then maybe if they weren't going to keep him around, they should have traded him, because at the end of the day, like Jose does not want to DH. He's been very adamant about how he doesn't like DHing. And like, in order to successfully transition from Andrew Vaughn, from a veteran like José Abreu to Andrew Vaughn at first base, like there needs to be like Abreu DHing on a more consistent basis. And if that's not something he was willing to give up, then like he had every right to walk. And that's exactly what he did. And I think where I get angrier is the fact that this was always the scenario, like you said, and we so much as patted him on the back and sent him out the door. Like he didn't even play in the last game of the season, which apparently he asked to not play. I don't buy that. There was no proper send off other than some really like a social media post of like Jose thanking the fans at the end of the season. That was like really ominous. Like nothing was really said. And then, Rick Hahn and Pedro Grafal are dodging questions at their presser and their first off-season pressers about kind of where his role is. Like, own up to the fact that he's not coming back, and then give him a proper send-off and thank him for the duty that he has provided here for the last 8 years, because I think a lot of morale has been kept high with just his energy and his work ethic. And I think, that says a lot about, not only the player he is, but the person he is. So yeah.
His generational impact. I mean, half the lineup for the White Sox probably wouldn't be on the roster if it weren't for José Abreu.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at the influx of Cuban players, most of them have said José Abreu coming to the White Sox, showing what he has shown, proving what he has proved. That's what brought so many people to the White Sox organization. And you're just like, oh, well, we don't have a spot for you. So bye. Like that is just shitty on so many levels.
But that's supposed to motivate too. That's supposed to motivate. Did you know? Like I saw that all over social media today. That's supposed to motivate Yasmani and Luis. And it's going to motivate them to be and I'm like, oh, come on. If anything, that's completely deflating. Like
exactly.
You ripped our leader away from us without even acknowledging what was going on. It's
like any goodwill from the managerial hire just completely evaporated. And yeah, like Allie, you were saying, I mean, they were between a rock and a hard place. And I guess that's true. What's really frustrating is that like they put themselves there. Like you were saying, like we knew this was coming and they didn't do anything about it. Like I had this really dumb vision today of like a guy who invents a machine that hits his knee with a ball peen hammer every like 20 minutes. Like he built that for some reason, and then he turns down the interval, so it hits him only like once every half hour. He's like, well, I did what I had to do to be better. And it's like, well, you shouldn't have invented that fucking thing in the first place. Like, why would you do that? So that's sort of what we did. And they're like, in a vacuum, this move might make sense, but it just speaks to the institutional incompetence and just the grinding failure of making decisions on a daily and yearly basis.
You just described the Rick Hahn decision-making
Well-
process, and I'm loving the mental image that I have in my head.
Well, and then if you think about it, it goes back to even I mean, Andrew Vaughn was, a good draft pick, especially for the 3rd overall pick, but it goes back to drafting, a first baseman in 2019 when you've got José Abreu at 32 that year and is still playing like great baseball, still playing like 3-4 WAR baseball that he continued to do and fucking won MVP with in 2020. I think that's the other thing is it's like he, as much as 2020 was, a shortened season and everything in that season is essentially a fluke, he won MVP. It also feels like they're celebrating, like they're not celebrating like he's supposed to. Like he has more career value in 8 years of playing than Paul Konerko did for his entire career. It's like he is both probably one of the he is the best White Sox hitter since, I don't know, probably
Frank Thomas.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not celebrating any of that. It's like, I don't even mind that they didn't trade him. A little bit. It's like, okay, yeah, they didn't trade him. Maybe Rick Hahn and his fucking delusions thought they were going to get better for that second half, even though we did nothing at the trade deadline. Maybe he's like, we're going to make the playoffs. We need Jose for the playoffs, but give the dude a fucking send off. If he doesn't want to play the last game, then make the second to last game the fucking send off. Doesn't matter. Just give him something. Dude's like, historically good for this team. And I swear to God, if he doesn't get his number retired, I will cease to be a fan of this team, because that's the biggest insult. Is it's like, if they do nothing in the future for José Abreu, that makes it even worse.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like the White Sox they can't do the simple shit right. Like even the Cubs just like they gave Jason Haywood all of the theatrics, and Jason Haywood means a lot to that franchise because of the World Series and the speech and all that during the rain delay, all that stuff. Jason Haywood means nothing compared to what José Abreu means to the White Sox. And the fact is, the White Sox, like José Abreu's jersey should have been retired the moment they decide, like his jersey should be retired the moment Houston comes to Chicago next year. He should have a statue already ready, because that's how much he means to the team. He is, in my opinion, Mr. White Sox of this generation. Like he is that guy, and you have to honor that guy. Like we were talking about Mark Burley earlier and how he wasn't honored the way he should be honored because the White Sox suck at this. And like Jose didn't even get a standing ovation in the last game of the season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, yeah, he didn't play. You could have done this defensive substitution. You could have done some stupid shit to make it seem better. Like, why would anybody, specifically in this case, Cuban players, why would you come to the White Sox? Like, yes, we have a great Cuban history, but the current regime does not care about any of that. They just care about making sure they make money and stay in second place so they don't have to spend too much, but they get enough love that fans come to every game. Except I went to a good amount of games this year. People were not in there. People did not go to games because when you suck, you don't get fans to come in unless you're a team like the Cubs, a true big market team. Because yeah, we're in the same market, but we don't mean as much as the Cubs. Like that's just a fact. So the White Sox, what they need to do is they have to treat players better. They have to go sign players. Like we're talking about, there's only 5 to 15 million left in the budget. and this is a sport without cap. Like, if you're not gonna commit to winning, why would I play for your team? If you're not gonna commit to winning, why would I root for the team? And you're not gonna commit to honoring your best players in the history of your franchise. And Jose is like top 5 easily, in my opinion, for the franchise. Then why would anyone care about the Chicago White Sox outside of the people that get paid by the Chicago White Sox? And even why would they care? You think Lucas Giolito wants to resign with the Sox at this point? You think Dylan Cease is resigning? You think Tim Anderson is like, yeah, I'm resigning next year. I'm ready to resign. No, because they just saw the dude that's been leading the team for the last 8 years get treated like shit on his way out because they just do not care about treating people properly because they are, at the end of the day, Jerry Reinsdorf's favorite team to make money off of, even though the Bulls have made him probably substantially more money.
Yeah, you bring up an interesting point in that too, because you mentioned the 15 million that they have left. And given that Clevenger's deal, for God knows what reason, went from what seemed to be a reasonable 8 to closer to 12, the Sox don't even have a ton of room to fill out the rest of the roster based on the gaps that we all know they have to really make this work. So I mean, I know Rick Hahn already said we're going to look at trades and that might make a difference, but it's just, it doesn't feel good knowing that the most productive player is no longer on the roster. And now you're just kind of, you know, wishing against hope, and good luck, you know, good health and good fortune is somehow going to go the Sox way this year.
Well, all the vibes are pointing in the right direction, so why not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We have the best strength and conditioning coach. Wait until you see the new stretches that they're doing. It's going to be
I go to the
amazing.
ballpark. Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. I leave when the game starts.
Everybody come early and just watch them stretch in the outfield. It's going to blow your mind.
Jeff Head is going to take them all the way. I want to go back to what Jordan was talking about in terms of drafting. And I'm one of those people that you draft the best player, even if it doesn't fulfill an immediate need that you have on your team. But what I don't understand is, knowing that they had Jose, and Jose still being youngish at the time, why not use Andrew Vaughn as a trade piece back then to something that could have really benefited the team? Like, somebody needed somebody needed a really good first base prospect. So wasn't there a really good, right field prospect maybe that somebody wanted to trade up? That part is frustrating to me too. It's like up and down, no matter where you look in this team, there's just problem after problem after problem.
Alyssa, we're dealing with Rick Hahn.
Unfortunately, the draft issue goes beyond Rick
Noted.
Hahn. That's just organizational incompetence that the White Sox have always had, because the reason why Andrew Vaughn was drafted, and this was even noted in the draft itself, so this isn't revisionist history, he was the safest pick on the board because he was a college bat. He won the award for best hitter. You didn't run the risk of a high school or a younger age player where you tend to have to pay more for the bonuses, which the White Sox never do, and that's why the White Sox don't draft well. He is as safe a pick as it came. That's why they picked him. And it was like, all right, even if his bat doesn't fully develop, which honestly, it looks like this is about it, we can plug him in and he's going to be a formidable starting player for a major league roster. Unfortunately, that means that his value and interest to other teams is next to nothing, because first base prospects don't net you very much. They don't really care. So that's where the trade-off starts, where it's like, all right, you went with the safest pick, which means you get the highest floor, but you also get the lowest ceiling. And that's where, once again, the White Sox kind of getting in their own way becomes a much bigger issue than it should be.
I nominate Tommy Barbee to now take over draft for the Chicago White Sox.
I hate to interrupt, but as of 3 minutes ago, the Houston Astros have sent out the "Welcome to Houston" Jose tweet. So
awesome. Meanwhile, the White Sox, Cyber Monday, guys. Let's get those tickets going.
Have they even announced Clevenger yet?
That's what I was to say. Have they even mentioned Clevenger not yet? Or it's just like, we're gonna wait till we're gonna like, that's gonna be the thing that rips the Band-Aid off. Where it's just like, hey, we spent some of that money on this guy that has what, a 4 ERA and like just doesn't do anything for you really. Like, just it's Mike Clevenger. There are better pitchers out there. Hell, one of those better pitchers was on the White Sox in 2021. And now he's gonna command probably a 7-year, $200 million deal or something like that. He's gonna get paid pretty well, which means, they could have used the qualifying offer on Rodon last year. They just decided no. They could have tried to sign Jose or trade Jose. They said no. Their level of incompetence is insane from that team. And they're by far the most incompetent team in Chicago. Because
And a lot.
Oh, only in Chicago? Shit, you could
In
say
the
all
American
Major League
League.
Baseball.
we might be able to say
kind,
all the
Dante.
sports at times.
The
Like I said
Rockies
earlier-
is
Might be more
different.
so.
I said earlier, like that we say in football spots, we say the Bears are the Knicks of
Mhm.
football. I'm gonna say now that the White Sox are the Washington Commanders of baseball because they can't get shit right at all. And they have a legacy from the past. But hell, even the Commanders have 3 championships from back when when they had a horrible name. Like, nothing about this organization has true meaning because, like Tommy said, they're not actually loyal to anything except their wallets.
Yeah.
We're all big fans.
Well, and this just
Are
leads
we?
us back to the conversation of this is a systemic front office problem. Like nothing about this organization and the way that this team is run is going to change until there is a complete turnover of that front office. And that includes, keeping veterans around like Jose, or signing long-term deals that make sense, or actually making valuable trades, or building up morale and actually utilizing the tools that you have. Like, nothing is going to get fixed. You can hire all of the great coaches or managers you want, but until Kenny Williams and Rick Hahn and everyone else over there are gone, like nothing is going to change. And I think like that is the thing that we keep looping back to as we continue to have these off-season conversations about trades and signings and letting José Abreu walk and signing Mike Clevenger and all of these things. Like it all loops back to the front office is the problem.
Do
Speaking
we
of the-
feel any better if they trade for Colton Wong? Like
I do.
Yeah,
Like
no, I
I'm
love
trying
it.
to find some light because I'm feeling I am the glass half empty person, but I'm feeling a lot of gloom today. So I'm like, is there anything we can look forward to?
Melissa, we still have a veteran presence on the team. We actually still have the longest tenured player on the team,
Lurvy
Jordan.
legend, baby.
Larry Garcia. Somehow.
I
gonna
bet
end
he
up
gets a
getting a
statue
statue.
before Abreu. Exactly. He's gonna get a statue before Abreu.
Tommy,
I
we've been
would-
on the same wavelength all day today, haven't we?
We have. It's because we knew that we would finally see each other again.
Great minds. Missed you so much. So I will jump in and say, like, I was late to the White Sox fandom, and that's fine. But José Abreu was what initially really brought me there, because I was like, this guy is like magnetic. He's fun to watch. He's so good. He's not called the RBI merchant for nothing. And so that was kind of my final like push to join this White Sox team. And I went through it last year with Carlos Rodon, where I was just sitting there like in tears, and I don't even cry. And I'm like, why am I crying over a player that doesn't know me at all? But then I was like, but you come to just grow so attached to these players all the time, and you just love them as if they're your own. Like, I have a José Abreu little mini stuffed animal, and like that's just how much these players mean to you after a little while. So man, like, I have fresh makeup on, so I can't cry yet, but like I feel it coming later. I'm just so bummed.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's been a lot of talk of how we're worse, the analytics of it, the front office situation. But at the end of the day, it's just a freaking bummer. Like, it just sucks to not see him in a uniform. It sucks that he's not going to be winning a championship with the White Sox. It sucks that we're not going to be able to talk about when he got what he deserved by leading this franchise that he did so much for in so many really shitty years and just kept us enjoying it, that he's not going to get that. And we're not going to get to see him win a championship. And it's one of the big frustrations of being a sports fan. We have no control over it. We're at the whims of some rich idiots and their dumb lackeys, and it just fucking sucks.
And like Jordan said earlier, now we have to like actively hope that the Astros can do it again.
Yeah.
Because Jose is the most deserving person on that team of a ring. So, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far, but
Fuck the
still
Astros.
at
Well,
least
in my heart.
I mean, look, that's why I said I can't even be mad at the situation. I am so happy for José Abreu to be in a competent organization where, like, you don't have dudes looking up to 14-year-olds for leadership, or people slicing up jerseys, or managers falling asleep. Like, it is going to be a great experience for him. But I think what sucks to me the most is that I don't think White Sox fans fully appreciated what José Abreu brought to the table. And I think that because so much of his career was spent during the awful rebuilding years, and so many of his accolades were overlooked, frankly, by other players that played on better teams, that I really don't think he got the appreciation he deserved. And it's weird hearing people talk about, oh, he's too old, or the Astros way overpaid, or he's due to regress anyway. And it's just, he was the best player on the team last year. Like, and to me, it's not even a question.
Yep.
And so it's one of those things where I think like 5 years from now, it's going to be one of those great WTF moments in White Sox history. But for right now, it's just like the people like us that have an appreciation for White Sox team and the history, we get what he meant to the roster and the franchise. But I don't think most people will get it until 3, 4, 5 years from now.
Also,
Well-
he's my age, so that's not really old. And honestly, I hope he just pulls a Carlos Rodon and like curb stomps the White Sox on opening day. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, he will. He'll pull a Frank Thomas, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think actually playing in Chicago really hurt José Abreu in terms of like national recognition and appreciation for what kind of a player he was. And I think I shared in our group chat the other day an article where a writer actually broke down that Jose is the second best hitter that was available in free agency. I mean, that's incredible. And for, just seeing kind of on social media and things today, just casting Jose aside, well, it's just time to move on. It's time to move on. Like, had he not had to wait so long to get to the US to play Major League Baseball, he would have been a slam dunk into the Hall of Fame. And
Absolutely.
there's not a lot of White Sox players who've been in the Hall of Fame. So like, I just think, like Tommy said, I just think that there's a huge lack of appreciation, not only in Chicago for the impact player that Jose is, but nationally, what kind of player he is. And good for Houston. And it's really going to hurt to see them hoist that World Series banner against us on opening day and see him in that uniform.
It's kind of just funny because remember 2005, the White Sox beat the Astros in the World Series for their championship. And now we get to see the Astros, like you said, hoist one up against the White Sox with the guy that's been the face of the franchise for the better part of a decade on their team playing first base, probably batting his traditional number 3 spot. Like, it's nasty. I don't love it. I'm not one of the people that hates the Astros as much as most, but also just no, you don't. These are things you're not supposed to allow as a franchise. You don't just let your best player walk on weird terms. And you just, I hate it. I hate it so much. I went and just took my baseball bat and hit the ground a few times this afternoon when I got the news because I was just so much pain. Like my favorite José Abreu moment, because I was going to suggest we should do favorite moments, was a game I went to 2014, 15, something like that. And I think he got hit by a pitch and hit. And he stayed, and like there's a whole big brawl. One of the Sox gets hit by a pitch, and there's a big brawl, and Jose ends up hitting like a home run. Funny enough, I'm pretty sure it was against the Astros. Can't find the specific game because I'm too lazy to find the exact things. But yeah, like just moments like that shows how much of a leader Jose is. I've seen people say, how can he be a clubhouse leader? He doesn't even speak English. I'm like, one, that's racist as hell. Fuck off. Two, and more importantly, most of the team speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Like that mean like, and also leading by example is leadership. People say we don't like a quiet leader. Jose Abreu wasn't quiet as a leader. He was the guy that went on the field and showed you how to play. It's like what they were saying about Johnny Cueto for like Luis Robert and other young dudes this year. The guy that has you up in the stands, running up and down the stands, because he's showing you how he can stay this good at his age compared to most players crashing at the age of 30.
Yeah, Dante brought up favorite Jose Abreu moments, and I'm inclined to continue the train. I think it's gotta be when he hit like fucking 5 home runs in 2 games against the Cubs in 2020, en route to almost hitting 20 home runs in a 60-game season, which is still, he hit 9. I mean, as much as he hit 15 home runs this year and was way less than 2020, it's even more impressive to have hit 19 in 60 games. And just fucking mashing on the Cubs. Every time he mashed on the Cubs was just a great time. And I think losing that is going to be, I mean, we've still got Eloy shitting on the Cubs, but Jose Abreu shitting on the Cubs was also great, because it was just like he's had that grudge because he's, you know, part of the team, he's part of the franchise. He understands the rivalry because he's been here so long. And now it's like, oh, I guess we gotta hope Eloy stays healthy enough to where he can actually play the games against the Cubs. Yeah. Great.
I'll say what I'm gonna miss the most is kind of my favorite, is just his antics in the dugout, because he's a big kid at heart. Like, he's such a goober. And I just think about like him building the fort in the dugout, because, you know, it's August and it's hot, and he's like sitting there relaxing in a fort and letting Andrew Vaughn crash it at times. Like, it's just little things like that I'm going to really miss, because I don't want to watch a bunch of Astros games and have them pan to Jose there. So just him being so silly in the clubhouse, in the dugout, and like random TikToks, because for some reason I follow the White Sox on TikTok too. Like, I'm just going to miss that goofiness and that energy that he brings to this team.
I really hope the Astros don't suck that out of him. They feel like such a serious baseball team that I worry that might get lost, and that would be even sadder than him leaving. It's him leaving and losing that childlike wonder of the game.
I believe in Jose Abreu so much, I think he's going to change the Astros more than they'll change him. I'd like to think so. It's pretty to think so. Anyway, I think one of my favorite is from this year, actually, which is weird to say, in September against the Twins, when he got hit by a pitch and walked it off on that, or we thought he did. And like, he was sprinting around the diamond and doing that, as Chrystal was saying, his big goofy laugh and just being really excited. And they reviewed it, and it wasn't actually hit by pitch. And he had to come back, and he still hit a walk-off single. And like, he was so happy and excited, but then, you know, there's the adrenaline, there's the fireworks. And then it was kind of like, all right, no, then he's got to go back and do his job. And he still did his job every single time, no matter how much fun he's having, no matter how goofy he was, to get his heart rate back down, to hit a major league pitch after sprinting around the bases. Like, it just showed his joy of the game, but it's also absolute dedication to being a great baseball player. And in what was still a lost season, to be able to have that mental wherewithal, just love the guy. Just love the guy.
My moment was at the Field of Dreams game when Jose hit the first ever home run in Iowa baseball history. And it was just fitting. I mean, the whole experience was amazing just being there, but for Jose to hit that first bomb was incredible. And I will always remember that.
Absolutely. That's awesome.
I think mine is not so much like Jose on the field, and I echo everyone saying like his goofy personality in the dugout. And like I think just like him sprinting into the dugout after like he catches the final out, just like very seriously, like it just dashing was just always hilarious. But I remember back in the winter of 2013, before he signed with the team, like that was the first prospect my grandfather like ever really like talked with me about. And I think like it was so cool because like I think I mentioned this earlier, like he was like, he's going to change the South Side, and like this guy is like this next like big prospect from Cuba, and like we're going to sign him, and it's going to be so cool that he's coming to the South Side because like all of these teams want him, and like he's coming here. And so like I just cherish the memory of like my grandfather being so excited about him because like he grew up like back, you know, like Southside Hitmen and like all of those great teams like back then. And so like for him to be excited about a new generation of baseball as like I was growing into the fandom was super cool. And then like him like getting here and then being as good as everyone said he was going to be was just like even better, that like we got to enjoy the buildup of like, who is this guy, this 28-year-old rookie that's coming? And then he was like everything that we were sold.
Yeah. I love that.
The fact that he chose us too, he chose the White Sox, is kind of poignant at this point. And it's like, you know, if you love something, let it go. And it kind of feels like a little bit with him, but it's like it's not us letting go, it's him letting go, because you know he chose us and he's got to let go to, you know, get the things he really wants.
Jordan, you're making me cry, like legit, like seriously, dude.
I'm kind
What
of
the
trying
heck?
a little bit. On that note.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last
See,
15 minutes of
that's
the
like- that's what
podcast
you
are just
do
me
for
weeping.
us.
Oh, I love that Allie bench is clearing so many times. Yeah. Yeah, he was wonderful. I don't know what else anyone can say about Jose Abreu. You know, obviously I hope he gets his ring, but damn, man, this is like a hole in all of our hearts right now, I think. And it's going to take a couple days to really process that, which is ridiculous because this is just a baseball team and they don't know us. But again, like I'm in mourning. Please don't call, please don't text. Let me cry in my bed for 3 days in all black, and you know. But yeah, I think we won't talk your ear off for much longer. We all miss Jose Abreu already. It sucks to see him on the Astros Twitter account in an Astros uniform. That's gonna sting.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anybody
It's
has any
gonna be
final
weird.
thoughts, here's your time. Get them out before we wrap up this group therapy session.
When we're ready to exit out, I can exit us out with a wonderful lyric from Boyz II Men.
It's so hard to
You
say
say
goodbye
You
to yesterday.
Nobody quit their day jobs.
That's fine. Also, I love the fact that we keep doing these podcasts and we never talk about the like that thing that people want to hear, like Mike Clevenger signed. What about him? And it's just like, fuck Mike Clevenger. They just let Jose walk. Also, fuck Mike Clevenger for being a COVID idiot back in 2020. The guy himself traded to the Padres. Like me and Clevenger will always have beef with that because I just hate that type of stuff.
If he shows up with those two really gross looking, like ugly braided ponytails, I will bring scissors and
You'll
Gonna
pull
go
a
all
Chris Sale.
You're so yeah.
You beat me to it.
I'm for sale hair.
You
Come
can't
back
do
to
that.
that game.
You can't do that because then he'll get like the ball still fanboys on you. And then we have to go beat up White Sox Dave, which is some
Oh, that's a whole nother podcast.
I'm gonna censor that name.
Good idea. That is my bad.
Just kidding. I don't know how to edit video. All right. Well, I think that wraps us up. Thank you again to Jordan, Melissa, Brian, Dante, Allie, and Tommy for grieving and helping me get through this loss. I hope it helps you, our dear listeners or watchers on YouTube. In the meantime, take it easy, reply with some of your favorite Abreu memories so that we can all cry while reading the comments. And we will see you again soon, maybe to discuss our new pitcher. But again,
Probably
fuck that
not.
shit. We don't want to talk about him. So yeah,
Unless the new
love you.
pitcher is,
What, Dante?
I was saying, unless the new pitcher's last name is Verlander, DeGrom, or Rodon, we will not.
Yeah,
be coming
that'll
back.
show the Astros. We got
Okay.
Verlander. Now what?
Yeah, unless it's one of
That's
those
the
names,
plan.
we will not be back to discuss new pictures until the next time we do a podcast, more likely. Because honestly, it's the White Sox, and who cares about the White Sox at this point?
Your 2023 starter, Dallas Keuchel, coming back from the dead.
Oh,
Crystal,
God.
please don't. Please do not put that on me.
No,
Ruined my
do not
birthday
put that
with
into
that.
it. Do
No,
not put that into a universe. Like, because then I will have to run onto the field to get banned from the stadium for fighting Dallas Keuchel, and I don't want to.
I'll join you.
The Sox are gonna punk us all, and Aaron Judge is gonna be the next new Chicago White Sox.
I would shit my pants.
I don't think that.
If Aaron Judge, if I'm gonna say it now, if Aaron Judge is a White Sox on opening day 2023, I will go get a White Sox tattoo for my first tattoo.
I
Ooh.
will kiss
I will
Rick
commit
Hahn.
to it.
Open mouth.
Yeah, I would kiss Rick Hahn open mouth if he signed Aaron Judge.
Absolutely.
I will delete
I-
every bad tweet I've ever made about I'll scrub my Twitter.
I wouldn't have any tweets left.
I will personally spit shine Jerry Reinsdorf's boots.
I mean, my pinned tweet would have to get deleted because we talked about the White Sox. We talked about Rick Hahn. He sucks.
All right. Well, we'll see you again soon. Sorry for all the F words, Mom. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
So hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
Walking us off.
Oh, dear.